How we doing, everybody? Happy Wednesday. A good Wednesday or hump day, they like to call it. We are back for another day of Wisconsin sports on the go with Trage. I am your host, Trage. Today we are talking Brewers. Took game two of the series against the Cardinals last night, 7-3. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about what we see with this Brewers team right now. What kind of moves can they make yet going down the stretch here that could bolster this team? And then also look a little bit at the Packers today, covering that last game against Atlanta, get a little bit more in depth and see what was good, what was bad, what was ugly in that one, and just moving forward, what the Packers can do to improve. But with that, we're going to jump right into the Brewers right away. 7-3 last night, took the game against the Cardinals there. Colin Ray took the win for the Brewers, and Ram took the loss for the Cardinals. In this one for the Brewers, pitching wise, McGill started it for the Brewers, an inning pitch, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and a walk. That did not work out for the Brewers there. That's spot bullpen starter. Did not work out in this one. Colin Ray, 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run in this one, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a home run given up. Colin Ray did not pitch bad for the Brewer team after that start by McGill. And then Milner came in for a third of an inning there. Nothing across the board for Milner there. He shut her down for Colin Ray. Uribe then came in for an inning there, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, so a solid outing from Uribe. Pompous then came into this one, 1 inning pitched, 1 hit given up, and that was about it for Pomp. And then Chafin came in. I cannot say how much I don't like Andrew Chafin in there for the Brewers. So far for Andrew Chafin, I just want to dig into his stats here a little bit and just check him out because he has struggled since the Brewers picked him up or traded for him. You look at his last with the Brewers, looking at his stat line with the Brewers, 1-1 with a 7.82 ERA in 15 games pitched, 12 2/3 innings, 10 hits, 11 earned runs, and 3 home runs given up. Those are some struggling numbers there for this for Andrew Chafin there coming out of the bullpen. And you run out of spots you can really put him in. I mean, you look at what they did last night there against the Cardinals. They were up 7-3 there in the ninth, and they said, okay, we can give it to Chafin here. He can get us out of this. And first and third with 1 out, he got the double play ball. That was solid, but the struggle before that, there's just it just isn't right with Andrew Chafin, and I'm not liking Andrew Chafin. He isn't good in any game situation. We put him in there in blowouts. We had to get Devin Williams warming up. I mean, you put him in there in close games, he's going to blow the lead for you. I mean, we dealt with this early on this season with Matt Bush, and we got rid of Matt Bush. Chafin struggling. I don't know, maybe if you put a starting pitcher out there for Chafin out in the bullpen, but I don't think that Andrew Chafin is a good relief option for this Brewers team. Not another solid lefty, I can tell you that much. He has struggles against right-handed hitters and left-handed hitters. So Andrew Chafin, not a solid option out of the bullpen. Got out of the inning last night there, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, 1 hit given up in that inning. Got the double play ball to end it there. But the Brewers got the win. That's bottom line. Brewers get the win. Canna 1 for 5 on the night there with an RBI. Contreras 1 for 4 on the night, 2 runs scored and an RBI. Santana 1 for 5 in this one. Adames went 2 for 5. Donaldson 1 for 5. Tyrone Taylor 1 for 3. Frelick went 1 for 3. Monasterio, he was 0 for 3 with an RBI. And Blake Perkins went 1 for 2. Got that first hit coming off the IL. So hitting was better last night for the Brewers team. 9 hits in the game. They had 7 runs in this one. Solid outing. Got hits when they needed them. You look back into that 4th inning for them. That's where the big number came in. 4 runs there in that 4th. You look at it. Donaldson doubled in Willie Adames, who led off the inning with a double. Tyrone Taylor doubles in Josh Donaldson, and then Sal Frelick doubles in Tyrone Taylor. The bats got going right when they needed to. They just kept producing runs, and that's what they needed to do in this one. And then looking earlier on there in the game, William Contreras hit his 17th home run of the season there. That's what made it 2-1 there and got the Brewers started scoring last night. So a solid outing by the offense in this one. Can't take away from what the offense did pitching-wise. they didn't look bad. McGill struggled there to start, and Chafin struggled on the back end. But besides that, the middle half of this game looks solid for the Brewers, and that's what we were looking for out of this Brewers team. Looking at what I kind of wanted to talk about. Well, first before that, I want to preview. I keep forgetting about previewing the next game before we get too far into this. So tonight, the Brewers will pick up that game 3 of the series there. They will be a 6:45 start again. Adrian Hauser versus Thompson from the Cardinals there. Hauser coming in this one 6-4 with a 4.53 ERA. Thompson coming in 5-6 with a 4.34 ERA. A lefty on the mound for the Cardinals. Expect Craig Counsell to go with the dominant right-handed lineup against this lefty coming from the Cardinals. Experience against Thompson is slim for the Brewers. Looks like we're probably not going to see Yelich. They did say Yelich had a great workout, so it looks like we could potentially see Yelich back pretty soon for this Brewers team. If that's what's truly bothering him and that's what's bothering his bat, I don't want him back any sooner than he has to. And if we have to, put him on the IL and get somebody else up. We're actually going to cover who I think the Brewers could bring up yet and could bolster this roster heading down the home stretch here. But looking at the hitters against Thompson here, there isn't a lot of experience. Adames, 333 against him, 3 at-bats. Caratini's got 1 at-bat against him, 0 average. William Contreras has got no at-bats recorded. Tyrone Taylor, 2 at-bats recorded, and 0 average. And Tellez with 2 at-bats recorded and a 0 average. Against Hauser for the Cardinals, your common guys have faced him there. Arenado's hitting 143 against him. Goldschmidt's hitting 286 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. Surprisingly, Nolan Arenado against Adrian Hauser, no home runs, no RBIs. Adrian Hauser has been able to hold down Nolan Arenado. Knock on some wood. Don't want to jinx myself there. But Nolan Arenado has struggled against Adrian Hauser. That's huge. I did not see that coming. But looking at the list here, Goldschmidt, 286 against him, 28 at-bats, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Kinsner's got a 200 average against him in 5 at-bats. And then Newt Barr's actually hitting 143 in 7 at-bats. Tommy Edman, 235 in 17 at-bats. So the Cardinals got a little bit of experience against Adrian Hauser. Not so much for the Brewers against Thompson there. Thompson coming in this one, 5-6 with a 4.34 ERA. Thompson has struggled a little bit this season for the Cardinals. Brewers need to jump on him early, and they need to jump on him fast. They need to put runs up just like last night, put them up today, and that will bolster that team and give Adrian Hauser a little bit of confidence out there on the mound that he doesn't have to be perfect. That is the greatest thing you can do for these starting pitchers is I don't have to be perfect every single time out. I don't have to keep this team to a shutout. That puts more pressure on them pitchers. That's when they make the mistake pitch, when they have that pressure backing them up. The pitching staff for the Brewers is constantly having to hold teams to 1, 2, 0 runs across the board if you're Corbin Burns, and the Brewers offense struggles in those games. So the Brewers offense needs to jump on them, and that will relax this pitching staff and allow them to have some better outings here heading down the stretch. But that's what I wanted to get to there with the preview of tonight's game. With that, though, I want to look at, like I was saying, some potential call-ups the Brewers could still make here heading down the stretch. And I am looking at guys in the minor leagues like Abraham Toro, sitting down there with a 289 average, 100 hits on the season, 8 home runs down there in AAA, 56 RBIs, and 34 doubles, 50 runs scored, 72 strikeouts to 48 walks. So Abraham Toro, like we saw earlier on this season for the Brewers, 414 average. He was hitting solid for this Brewers team. They decided, not good enough, we're going to send you down to the minors. Now, the way we're sitting at the Major League roster right now with Brian Anderson sitting on that bench for the Brewers, you're not doing anything with Brian Anderson. He's kind of just sitting there, no point to it, just rolling the season away. Why do we not give guys like Abraham Toro a shot up there? But then you also look at a guy like Owen Miller, who is down. He was hitting, I think he's still at a 261 average with the big league club. Looking at him down in AAA, 286 average, 26 hits, 10 RBIs, or 10 runs scored, and he has 14 RBIs and actually has 3 home runs down there. So Owen Miller has been hitting at the minor league level at AAA. He's been hitting at the major league level, and yet we don't give him that shot in the big league club anymore. I don't understand that one. I think he'd be a very good bat to have on the bench. And with Owen Miller up there, that expands it. We see a lot of games here where they sit Terang and they put Monasterio in there. Owen Miller can play one of those positions for you. He can play second base for you, and then Monasterio can stay over at third base and just solidify the offense a little bit there, or put Monasterio at shortstop. We've been playing Josh Donaldson at third, and then put Owen Miller at second base, and then you'd have more of an offensive scheme there going into the final stretch here, going into the postseason, not relying on defense. I mean, you have to rely on your defense to a certain point, but these other teams don't care if you have the best defense in the world if they're just going to hit it over top of you. So that's where I'm looking with this Brewer team right now is why don't we give some of these other players a shot? The only thing that I can see right now as a potential call-up, I don't know how they're going to work it and why they would work it that way, but Garrett Mitchell's the only guy I can see potentially getting a call-up to the Brewers here down the stretch. Looking at him right now in Nashville, 4 games played, 15 at-bats, 2 hits so far, and 6 strikeouts. He's getting back into game action right now. So is it pressing the button to bring a guy like Garrett Mitchell back? Yeah, but Garrett Mitchell's going to bring a contact bat to your lineup. The Brewers are trying to rely on power. You look at when they went out in the waiver wire and they got a guy like Josh Donaldson back. They weren't looking for Josh Donaldson to be this contact guy to get all the hits for you. They wanted the thump. They wanted the power bat in the lineup. Experience in the playoffs only takes you so far. You can win by being young, dumb, and stupid. That's about it. You can win ball games just like that. So saying that the Brewers are only going after guys like that for that reason, there's no point to it. To me, there's no point to it. You want playoff experience is great. Yes, you want guys who have been there, done that. But at the same time, guys who have been there, done that, they've seen it. They feel the pressure a little bit more. They've been there, they've done it, but they haven't won it. Josh Donaldson, been there, done it, hasn't won it. That puts more pressure on him. Young, dumb, and stupid. That's what I like to say. That is just it's like a formula, and it works out even better because those guys, they're not experienced in that postseason. They might get a little bit more pressure. They might get a little bit more jitters, but if they haven't been there, if you can get those guys to play loose, that's a dangerous team. Young, dangerous teams. That's what you look at teams like the Diamondbacks, teams like the Orioles. Those teams are young. They're young. They have speed, contact bats. They have a couple thumpers in their lineups, but those guys are young and they are hungry. And that's what you need to look for. The veterans down the stretch here, I don't know if that's going to do it for you, but you look at guys like Garrett Mitchell coming back. That's a guy who's hungry. He's hungry to get back there on the major league roster and get on the field and prove himself. Abraham Toro, that's what I think a lot of it was for him early on in the season. He was hitting so well, 2 home runs at the major league level, 9 RBIs, I believe. I mean, he was hitting solid for this Brewers team. Why? He had something to prove. This Brewers team has something to prove there come the postseason. I don't know with a guy like Josh Donaldson, Rowdy Tellez, some of those guys who struggle on the hitting front, they're more in there for their thump. I don't know how much those guys will benefit the Brewers going into this postseason here and why we don't see guys like Owen Miller, who's out there, a contact guy who's out there to prove himself day after day that he belongs, is sitting down in AAA right now. We aren't giving him that shot at the big league level. Brian Anderson isn't getting a shot at the big league level. Why don't we just let Brian Anderson DFA? It would suck to see, but just let him go and then work with it from there. That's what I just don't understand with the Brewers is the usage of players. And that's what leads me back into a thought that I've had a lot. And that's what is the front office for the Brewers really thinking? Like, honestly, what goes through their head when they make decisions? You look at a guy like Josh Donaldson, 142 average with the Yankees this year, down in AAA for the Brewers when they got him. I think he hit 140, maybe 130, 3 home runs. I mean, you look at his stats across the board, nothing on his stat line said, I need this guy on my major league roster. And yet the Brewers still put him on there. But then you look at a guy like Owen Miller, 260 average, with the Brewers. He was hitting close to 300 there for a while, struggled a little bit. They never gave him a shot when he came back up from AAA. So when he came back up, they never gave him that shot. How do you know he wasn't going to get that bat rolling again and give you that viable option? It didn't give him a chance. Still has one of the better averages on the team with his lack of playing time. Hasn't really been able to be affected at all. But that's where my question is with the Brewers front office. What are they gunning for? Are they gunning to stay consistently average? Is that what we're going for? Because if that's what we're going for, that's what you're doing. It's like we don't want to go over the top. Abraham Toro was hitting well for the Brewers team. Now, I'm not saying if you left Abraham Toro out there for the entire year that he was just going to all of a sudden be this 300 hitter who was going to hit 40 home runs and have 100 and some RBIs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when Abraham Toro was up, he was hitting above 400, and we did not give him the time to see if he was going to stay consistent or if he was going to drop off. We didn't give him that time. We didn't ride the hot bat. We didn't allow him to mess up before we sent him down. Owen Miller, we jumped the gun, sent him down. He struggled there for a little bit, but if you're going to send Owen Miller down for that struggle, look at the rest of the team here throughout the season. If you take William Contreras out of it, the rest of the team there has had that struggle. Yelich has had a struggle for a month. We don't see any rumblings about, oh, Yelich, he's got this big contract, or what are we going to do with him? That kind of stuff. Yelich is just going to stay. Adames, we don't see anything with Adames. He has struggled all season long. No even thought of, we're going to put him out there. We're going to DFA him. We can't deal with this anymore. Joey Wiemer sat on the Major League roster for the longest time. No production out of Joey Wiemer. Owen Miller struggles for a month. He's gone. Abraham Toro, somebody comes back. He's gone. We don't give him that shot. That's my question to the front office. Why do we not give shots to players who are hitting for this team? Like I said, I'm not saying that these guys would have stayed consistent all year long. I'm not saying they would have carried that high average for the entire season. What I'm saying is that in the moment, the time they got sent down did not make sense looking at the rest of the players on the team. Owen Miller got sent down to AAA this last time. You had Brian Anderson on the bench. He has not played in, I can't even remember how many games now. He hasn't seen the field. He's got in for defensive purposes a couple times. He got into a blowout there to hit. That was about it. So that's where my question is. And to you guys, even if you want to just message me, you want to comment in on Facebook, anything like that, and just let me know what you think, because I truthfully don't understand the way the front office works for the Brewers and what kind of moves they're actually trying to make, because logically they don't make sense. They really do not make sense to me at all. And it goes through the off seasons, it goes through the trade deadlines, and it goes now into the end of the season, why we're not allowing guys who are hitting to get shots at the big league roster, but we'll keep guys on the big league roster who either A, aren't playing, or B, aren't producing at all. That's where my question lies with the Brewers and the Brewers front office in this one. But with that, just wanted to check out and see once what it's looking like. I did see today, yesterday, the Brewers did officially eliminate the St. Louis Cardinals from the playoffs. So awesome news. Something to cheer about there, getting rid of the Cardinals and their hopes at somehow miraculously coming back there. But looking at the Brewers in this last night's game, Craig Counsell actually got win number 700. So that was awesome to see too. Craig Counsell pull off his 700th win, leads the Brewers organization in wins. Awesome to see him get that recognition there, that he has gotten to that 700 win. That's awesome. Magic number is 6 right now. It should get smaller. Hopefully the Cubs will lose a couple more games here. They got the Pirates this week. Hopefully Pirates can help the Brewers out a little bit there. But looking at that, that is about all I have for the Brewers as of right now. But yeah, that's about all I got for the Brewers. We're going to fly around the league real quick and just take a look at some of the finals from last night. The Braves took care of the Phillies 9-3. Cubs beat the Pirates. The Orioles beat the Astros. Looking around here, the Reds got shut out by the Twins, 7-0. The Marlins beat the Mets 4-3. The Nationals beat the White Sox 4-3. The Blue Jays beat the Yankees 7-1. Guardians lost to Kansas City 7-6. Brewers, like we said, won 7-3, and the Red Sox lost to the Rangers 6-4. So there is your scoreboard from yesterday. Looking at some of today's games, the Brewers, like I said, 6:45 first pitch. Cubs and Pirates, 6:40 first pitch for the Cubbies. Hopefully you see the Pirates pick up a win there. Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs, so it's going to be a tough one for the Pirates. Marlins and Mets will have first pitch at 5:40. Looking around here, a lot of early games tomorrow. Phillies and Braves will be a 11:20 start today. The Twins and the Reds will be a 11:35 start. 12:05 start for the White Sox and Nationals, and a 1:05 start for the Red Sox and Rangers. Orioles and Astros, first pitch set for 1:10. So a lot of good matchups there around the league for Major League Baseball tomorrow or today for Major League Baseball. But with that, that is about all I have for Brewer talk for the day. We are going to jump to the Packers real quick and just kind of look over this last game against the Falcons on Sunday. Like I said, 25-24 finish in this one. Desmond Ridder looked good for the Falcons, but the Packers defense looked worse. And that's what I think was a key factor in this one. And it was mainly in the run game. The Packers defense struggled in the run game. Couple of dropped interceptions, should have had. But the run game is what really killed the Packers this one. Jordan Love looked decent for this Packers team. 14 for 25, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns. No mistakes. Knock on wood, Jordan Love played great for this Packers team. But the run game struggled once again. A.J. Dillon was the leading rusher for the Packers, 15 carries for 55 yards. Another struggling performance from the rush game for this Packers team. Receiving-wise, leading the team, Wicks, 2 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown. So the Packers looked okay in this one. Love looked good. The wide receiver room, the young talent looked good, but A.J. Dillon and the run game struggled mightily against this Atlanta Falcons team. And then looking on the flip side of it for Atlanta, the run game looked great for them. The pass game was okay. It was there when they needed it. And I think that was a big part of this one. Looking at some of the good we saw from this one, like I said, Jordan Love, he played a great game in there. Hasn't turned the ball over so far this year, so that's impressive to see. It wasn't a perfect affair for Love, but the offense faltered down the stretch there, but he's also, you got to remember, he's a rookie quarterback coming to this one. He's not fresh out of college, but he has sat behind Rodgers, and he's just getting used to being out there as the everyday starter. And then not having a guy like Aaron Jones in this one, not having a guy like Christian Watson, that did not help Jordan Love in this one, especially a guy like Aaron Jones, because on that last drive, Aaron Jones would have been able to calm down this team. You didn't have David Bakhtiari out there, so you didn't have a lot of experience out there in the field. And I think a guy like Aaron Jones would have helped settle down this Packers team. Another good thing we saw, like I said, the young playmakers for the Packers in this one. Dontante Wicks led the receivers in snaps through the first 2 weeks. He had 2 catches Sunday for his first touchdown and made 2 men miss in the open field. So showing off that athletic ability. Luke Musgrave, another big game for Luke Musgrave. He's really showing out to be a top tight end. A lot of looking at him, kind of like a TJ Hawkinson, kind of like a Travis Kelce, more of a wide receiver, tight end combo sitting in there. But other than that, looking at him, Jaden Reed played a great game for the Packers. I mean, they had a pretty good effort there against the Falcons for the rookies did in this one. But looking at some of the bad parts of this one, like I said, the run game for the Packers struggled. Jones Jones was missing in this one. 2 touchdowns in the first game against Chicago. Missed the second game. That was a big loss. Looking at his replacement, Emmanuel Wilson, had 3 carries on Sunday. Didn't really do much of them 3 carries. Patrick Taylor wasn't really a factor. And A.J. Dillon was supposed to be the punch for this Packers team and once again struggling to stay on his feet and doesn't really have explosion. It seems like he's kind of turning into that Eddie Lacy late in his career there, where we couldn't get him going because of that weight that he put on. AJ Dillon, I don't think he put on that weight, but he's missing that explosive ability right now. He's not really getting through holes. He's kind of getting stood up, and his feet, it seems like 15 steps for him is like 3 for the normal person. Like, it's just taking him that long to get started. And I don't know if the best option right now, I know the Packers were in on looking at Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. Maybe this struggling run game, seeing that A.J. Dillon really isn't it, maybe Emmanuel Wilson can turn into something. But with Aaron Jones, he should be back this next week. But with Aaron Jones on the injured list right now, maybe looking at a guy like Jonathan Taylor isn't a bad idea right now for the Packers. But other than that, penalties were a struggle for them in this one. So far this season, they've racked up 16 penalties in their first 2 games, 3rd most in the NFL, and had 2 unnecessary roughness and a face mask. So the Packers are getting killed right now by penalties. One on Devondre Campbell, supposed to be one of the veterans on this team, got charged for it. Knocked him out of field goal range, actually, and came away with no points on that. So that is the struggle of the defense right there, is just discipline right now. Understanding how long can we wait for the Packers defense to officially develop with Joe Barry as the defensive coordinator, especially with the amount of veterans you have on this, the amount of first-round picks that you have on this defense, and yet they still are struggling. Sunday's delay of game, that was a huge one in this one. Cost the Packers 3 points right there. Also, another one was this sneak by Jordan Love. A miscommunication, something happened there. Dove forward without the ball. That's all I know. And that was another one on the Packers there that cost them potentially a first down right there. Another thing that's been a big story for the Packers, and that was if David Bakhtiari sat out of the game against if he sat out the game against the Falcons on purpose because of the turf field, and that's why he wasn't going to play in this one. And I saw, just looking at what Matt LaFleur said, they asked if he didn't play because it was due to the turf. No, we all know Dave's been dealing this with, so no. And then he was asked again, could this be a deal where he doesn't play any games on turf? And then Matt LaFleur said, you guys, I'm not going to get into that. We all know this is 2 years in a row. I'm not going to get into that. It's probably going to be like this from here on out. So every game the Packers play on turf, are we not going to see David Bakhtiari? Because if that's the case, that's going to be a struggle. And why are we keeping a guy like that? We could go out and we could give rookies experience. We could get somebody in there who's going to be a consistent guy on this Packers team in that locker room for you, not to have a guy who is going to miss some games because he just doesn't want to play on that field. He doesn't want to risk it on that field. At some point, you're going to have to risk it. Super Bowl, you make it to the Super Bowl and you're on that turf field, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to figure out something and play in that ball game. So that's where I'm at with David Bakhtiari right now. Sometimes you got to buckle up, man, and just let it ride. Another thing that killed the Packers there on Sunday was their run defense against the Falcons in this one. They shredded them. That's basically it. Look at what LaFleur said after it. The run game shredded them, and it sure did. The Bijan Robinson scampered through the secondary for 124 yards in this one. The Packers are actually at the bottom of the league in defending the run since LaFleur took over in 2019. So the Packers have been consistently bad at defending that run, and that's a lot on play calling. That's a lot on scheming. That's a lot on putting on guys into the spots where they have to be. You look at some of these plays against the Falcons, they're late. You look at that fourth down, a couple of fourth down tries. They got those yards simply because they were able to beat the Packers to that spot. And the Packers weren't ready for it. They had guys out of position, guys not playing where they should be. And that's where I think the flaws are coming right now. Joe Barry needs to fix it or get out, because the Packers will not go anywhere with a defensive coordinator who doesn't understand what he's got to be doing in there. But with that, that is about all I have for Packer news for the week. And or for today. We're going to get into a little bit more Packers later this week. We're going to preview this weekend's game against the Saints there. We'll jump into the Badgers a little bit more this week. Anytime news comes out, we're going to be reporting it. And we're also going to be talking about the Brewers. Big game tonight against St. Louis. Hopefully take this third game of the series here tonight against the Cardinals. But thank you guys for listening to this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. This has been awesome. Deuces, Brew Crew.